Hi, this is Tyson, and welcome back to our drum major tutorial video series. As you can see, I'm backed up, because it's time to start swinging this thing around. But, one last thing before we swing, I'm going to talk about one, and just one, variation for a walking stick style in a parade situation. It's commonly called the cane walk. It's something I found in a different video that I'm going to share with you within this tutorial. It's something to do to give your walk some gusto if you're not swinging your mace around like crazy. I'm going to just go ahead and walk towards you because we have a little bit of room to go. But from our right hand up, grabbed above our balance point, for me, about the top of my rope. On one, step off with your left foot and your mace. You're going to lift your hand up and your mace is going to follow your forearm. There's one with our left foot. 1, 2. We're going to step off with our right foot, obviously, and in our right hand the mace is going to go out in front of us and in most cases contact the ground, but there are variations, or you could do this in the air alongside you. But for this tutorial we're going to be on the ground. Hand at attention. 1, 2, and similar to a directing pattern, 3 we're going to go in, 4 we're going to go out. 1, upper forearm. 2, full extended arm, mace extended out on the ground. 3, 4. I'll just do it straight and naturally from all the way back here again. In the right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, that's just something to give your walk a little gusto if you are too tired to get any spinning in. With that out of the way, let's start actually spinning into this around. I'm actually going to start a little bit closer to you guys so I can show you what I'm talking about. With our mace, it's pretty obvious when we stop if we screwed up. That's not going to look right? So, what's important is that our mace head or crown stays up and our tip stays down. In order to do that when we spin, our thumbs are always going to face the tip, even if we don't choose to point our thumbs, which I certainly wouldn't, towards the head. Our thumb side of our hand is always towards mace, no matter what hand it is. When I say I wouldn't put my hands towards the mace, that's when I'm turning it. When I'm grabbing it, it's a little bit different of a story. Do what's comfortable for you. Like directing, when we spin our mace, we want to be straight out in the center of our chest. Obviously, whatever you work into your routine, you're going to have to run with these. This spinning tutorial is by no means not even close, really, to all the different things you could do with your mace. The best way I found to find more advanced, crazy techniques that maybe we're not going to talk about today is just watching a D1 field event during halftime and just watch the drum major, what crazy things they manage to do with their mace. But first, let's spin. So with our hands out in front of us, straight in front of the center of our chest, we're going to have 2 things I'm going to call out constantly. We have thumbs down and the butterfly. With our right hand holding the mace, it's going to spin, if we're looking at a clock in front of us, counterclockwise. So we're going to spin it, and here's our thumbs down. Again, we're going to be in front of our chest, but I'll move it down so you can see my face when I'm talking to you. Right hand, counterclockwise, if we're looking at a clock in front of us, thumbs down. Then we're going to bring it with our left hand, butterfly, with the head down and the tip up. Then we're going to have it in our right hand. We're going to bring it all the way around, thumbs down, butterfly. Notice on the thumbs down, the head is down. Notice on the butterfly, the head is down. So we're going to take it a full rotation with each of our hands. Head down, head down, head down, head down, head down, head down. The hardest part for people learning the mace and prop spins are to not grab the mace early. This is pretty common. You'll be going from thumbs down, and you'll see the mace right there. You'll grab it for the butterfly, and then you'll catch yourself, but you'll feel something's wacky, and you go to stop the mace. Uh-oh. So it's important as you go, and once it's gonna seem really hard now, once you get it, you're set. From our right hand, thumbs down, butterfly. Remember our balance point we talked about earlier? That's where this starts to come into play. If you're spinning your mace out of the balance point, you're going to be working really hard. So if I end up getting by the tip, then I have to swing that balance point around. But if I work at the balance point, where we found it earlier, the mace is going to be evenly weighted on both sides of my hands for the most part. And it's going to be a lot less work for me to spin it. Thumbs down, butterfly. Thumbs down, butterfly. Thumbs down, butterfly. This is where you're going to start to go from. It's not a lot of fun to maybe watch a prop spin for 8 bars, so maybe avoid that one. But before we get to spinning this thing any, you've got to have this down. Like I said, it's going to be really early and you're going to want to grab it too soon. But you always know that you're wrong if you stopped it and you're here. Or just check along as you go to make sure that your thumbs are pointed towards the head. And when you change hands, the head of your mace is down. Thumbs toward the head. When you change, the head of your mace is down. And as you get going, you might not necessarily find you like, hey, that's the butterfly, or was that the butterfly? Because you're going so quickly. This is kind of unnecessarily quick, and it's hard to keep this to a beat of a song. But it almost, once you get that balance point down, you almost throw it into the other hand, and it kind of meets your hand well. Obviously don't prop spin like this throw, but I'm kind of showing you how as you go. You might not even have to have both hands at the mace at the same time once you're comfortable with what you're doing. But for this tutorial, like I said, I'm below so you can see my face. But when you're going, you want this right out in front of your chest. Especially with our full-size All-American maces from the band shop. If you get any lower, you're going to catch the ground. So be careful about that one. Also, I can guarantee you're going to bonk yourself a couple times pulling crazy things. So stay with it. Maybe wear a helmet. Just kidding. We did have somebody do that though. But make sure you learn the prop spin to start with, and we'll go from there. Okay, we're back as an ant in the frame. Now that we've got the prop spin down, we're going to talk about right and left flares. We'll start with our right flare. On my right hand, the mace in my hand, thumb towards the globe, crown, or head. And we're going to follow around. Remember, our mace goes counterclockwise if we're looking at a clock in front of us. And as we go, we're going to continue that rotation. We're going to bring the head down in front of us like a thumbs down position, but we're going to bring the head down. We're going to keep our hand at attention, but because we're focused over here, I'm not going to worry about that too much. Thumb down like a thumbs down position, but we're going to end up having it go over here and bring the tip behind our head. So we're going to push our hand out, bring the tip behind our head, tip in front of our head. Push out, tip behind our head, tip in front of our head. Can you do it like this? Yeah. You could do this all day. But when you're on a whole entire football field, it's better to be seen. Especially if you worked really hard to build this routine and learn the mace. You want to do the best you can and give people the best show they can get. So when we do our flares, we want to have our arms straight out. This will also prevent us from getting smoked in the head by the tip, which is potentially the worst part depending on what part of it you get on your head. Push your hand out, and you shouldn't even be able to get yourself in the head. Practice tip behind, tip in front, and just come set right here for now. Arm out, tip behind, tip in front, set. Tip out, arm out, tip behind, tip in front. And the head of our mace is going to chase the tip. So as we go tip behind, the head of our mace is going behind as well. And then we bring the tip in front, the head is going to follow. Tip behind, tip in front. Next, we have our left flare. This one is going to usually come off of a thumbs down because it's in our left hand, obviously. But we can just start opening our left hand here. Because it's in our left hand, we're going to have to do about the opposite of what we did before. So on the left side, and we want to keep our rotation going counterclockwise. If we're looking at a clock in front of us, we're going to go head behind, head in front. Head behind, head in front. Head behind, head in front. Again, hand straight out once you get it down, and it's going to prevent you from getting it in the head. But instead of the head chasing, now the tip's going to chase the head, and we're going to come back home. Right here. Head behind, head in front. Come to a stop. So, worked in a basic manner in a very slow prop spin, a little too low, just so you can continue to see my face pretty well. Right hand, right flare. With the left hand, left flare. Right hand, right flare. Thumbs down, left hand, left flare. Butterfly, right hand, right flare. Thumbs down, left hand, left flare. Work these into your tune and repertoire, however they may work. You can connect these two together in a much more showy fashion if you so choose, with what you could call an around the world. I would avoid calling it that, just because you have a lot of behind the back things. But you can go from a right flare, and instead of just doing a thumbs down here, like this, so right hand, right flare, and just passing it off like you would a prop spin. This is a touch on the gaudy side, but we've done it. Is right hand, and you come up with your left hand, and you meet for thumbs down, like in front of your face, or even higher. And then you cross back over, but you can go up with your hand, meet it for your thumbs down up higher. Up with your left, meet down with your right as you're doing these flares. Obviously, this probably isn't a great thing to do right away. Once you have these two flares down, this is something that starts to resemble something you may put in a show. Like I said, this hand is pretty gaudy, but depending on your show, repertoire, expectations for your band, and audience, this might work for you. Before we go any further, you've probably seen me stop it. The stop is going to go right back to that ready or mace attention position with that 45s from the ground, right? When we stop it, we want it to be crisp and precise. It's easier to match crispness than it is to match sloppiness across the core of drum majors. When we come around, you can do a catch stop like this that we'll talk about later, but bring it right into our ready position. You can also do an inverted stop. It creates a little awkwardness coming down. If you can match your drum majors, again, I'm doing a prop spin low so you can see my face just a little bit better when I'm talking to you. But you can bring it around, and then from the left hand, catch it with the tip up. This is less common in our school. We've done it 2 years ago, as of 2020. And these maces are pretty new. Catch it up here. To add to the flare, if you so choose, you can throw a head. If you choose, but then it's like, how do you give the order for your corps to put your mace down, or maybe you're the only one operating the mace, so that would make your job easier. You'll notice if you have a brand new mace, it's probably going to hurt your hands. One, your hands aren't used to it, and two, the mace is probably pretty new. This is a fiberglass shaft or stick for this mace in particular. It broke in, it took a long time, but now that it is broken, works like a charm. Really happy with it. But as you stop it, you'll find that your hand actually bends the mace and it'll shake a little bit on the other hand. That's a good thing. It makes it less painful to stop, and it looks better. It's a very natural thing for people to see, for something to overcorrect and come back. Like when you're moving, that's kind of what people do, or they go too far and then they come back a little bit. So as we stop hard, our mace head will move around, and it will be a very natural looking thing for people to see. Same thing here. We want to stop it crisp and precise. You may notice with the bottom hand, we're in a butterfly with that hand. We're up with it because that's what we're so used to. And wherever this hand goes, I mean, I would naturally put it in front of my face, which is one of the reasons I don't like this, because it covers your face. But when you stop it here and throw a head, that's another option. Obviously, you could stop it however you want. That works with your routine. Like maybe you need to stop and you're going to work in some reverse spinning that we're not going to talk about today, but you can find online other places. There's lots of options, but main ones at the ready and the inverted. Again, you don't have to throw your head. You do you. Find what works for you, find what works with the band, and find what works for your core. And next we're going to talk about a little bit of behind the back techniques. These are very similar to a flare, so it's important that you have both your right and left flares down before you start. We're going to go from our prop spin into our left flare in my left hand. We're going to have it, bring it around, mace head behind, and then instead of bringing the head back in front like we would, we're going to go head behind, keep it behind. Then we're going to pass behind our back and a thumbs up. In front of our body we do a thumbs down, but here we're doing a thumbs up to keep it going in the same direction with our thumbs pointed towards the head. Then we're going to do more or less a right flare. The tip behind, and now we're going to bring the tip in front. I'll show you once talking it through. Thumbs down into the left hand, head behind like a left flare, but we're going to keep it behind, pass off into our thumbs up position behind our back, and then bring our tip in front, and we're home. You'll find yourself getting caught if you forget to bring the tip in front. It will be a bit of a sticky mess back there, unless that's something you want to do and work backwards. But usually not the case. So now from behind, my left hand over here, remember, from a prop spin, left flare, keep the head behind. Here's our thumbs up position right here. We're going to have our new hand, our right hand, coming on the bottom, with our thumb side of our hand up, obviously not against your back, and then bring the tip in front, thumbs behind, thumbs up behind us, just like that. Left hand, head behind, keep it behind, thumbs up, right flare, thumbs up, thumbs up. Now from the side we're going to start on, give you another idea. From the prop spin, left flare, thumbs up behind, tip in front. Left flare, thumbs up behind, tip in front. Just like this. This could be worked in with a kind of around the world of the showy flares. If you wanted to, you could go behind, hands over, and then immediately bring your left hand back up to meet the changeover in front of your face. Immediately bring it up to meet your changeover in front of your face. And we're going to have our two hands moving together. So as we go up for that, the other hand's going to match it. So see, a hand with our mace and the hand without the mace are going to go up together. They're going to go down together, back to our ready. Even when we're spinning, it's important to keep our empty hand and at the ready, instead of just like, I don't know, just chilling out there, not doing anything. And that also helps our mind know where exactly we need to meet the mace at if our hands are always in the same spot. Next, we're going to talk about standard throws. These are things that start to get a little sketchy. Like before, people are going to realize if you hold your mace or catch your mace like this. Remember how we have to keep our thumbs towards the head or crown of our mace? That's going to come into play a lot here when we throw. When you first start, you're going to get your mace, and I always throw from my left hand. Again, the actual spinning of a mace is very different depending on where you go. So find what works for you. But I always spin, or throw, excuse me, from my left hand. You're going to find this. You're going to take it from your left hand, put it up, and grab it. But as soon as we grab it, we see our thumb is pointed towards the tip. We stop the mace, and we're stuck. So it's very important to work out that nasty habit of grabbing it too early very quickly. It's seen as a single, but it really feels like you're spinning it a lot further than you need to. No matter how many times you're throwing it around, single, double, triple, whatever crazy stuff you guys can pull off, make your life easier, and instead of focusing on hurrying up and getting all the spins in and spinning it super fast when it's in the air, just give it some air time. That way when it comes down, yeah, it's going to come down a little bit faster, but it's easy to match your hand to catch it when it's coming down, as opposed to spinning like mad. So when we're throwing it up, give it plenty of air time and just let it spin and do its thing. When we go from our left hand, we want to keep it close to our body, which is scary to start with. So for you, when you're just starting throwing, fine, throw it out in front of you and go meet it with your hands. But as you get close, get more confident to keep it nice and close to your body. As you go forward, you'll need to even bring your hands in at some point so they don't get hit. But give her some air time and time to spin instead of worrying about getting it to spin really fast. What you're going to have to wait for and look for when you grab it before you get just used to doing it is when you go up, your head is going to go down when you throw it with your left hand, and it's going to come across again before you can grab it. So we're going to throw it up with our left, it's going to come across, and then it's going to spin one more time, and after that head is down the second time, that's when we can grab it, because now our right hand has our thumb pointed towards the head. So 1, 2. It's going to feel like a double, but we're really only throwing it one time, because if we just grab it early, our thumb's towards the tip, and if we stop, we're a little upside down there. So here's our single. When I throw, it's a little more showy, but I don't think too gaudy. To leave that left hand up, it also directs people's attention to watch your mace instead of you. When you're looking up to find it, if your majors look up to find it, or unless they keep their eyes straight, this is one time where I think it's be certainly alright to follow your mace back down, especially when you start out. But I leave my left hand up as I throw it. I'm going to focus so much on my left hand up, I might drop it, but leave that left hand up. And throw it a little too far away. Leave that left hand up, and it directs that attention up towards the mace and really accentuates how high you are throwing it, even though it might not feel that high to start with. And do our stop. After that, you just got to keep going on it. Like it was hard to start before single, grabbing it too early, when you now go for a double or whatever crazy things that you guys can figure out with your mace, it's going to be pretty difficult to not grab it too early and then find yourself in upside down land again. Like stopping it like this. Eventually you guys will be able to feel the weight difference, or just it feeling different in your hand and re-cheating so you can catch it again. But that'll come naturally just when you guys are practicing. But as we go for a double, this is where it gets really important to just focus on the air time instead of getting it around as fast as you can. I'm going to throw it once here and then I'll move the camera back to make sure you can see it. This is where your throw accuracy is going to come into play. Because even if you throw it instead of straight up a little bit to the side, as it arcs and reaches its parabola, it's going to end up way to the side. The great part about putting your hand up and people focusing on your mace is you can do a little sneak and catch it. It's much better to do a little sneak and catch it than to go for a reach and drop it. Here I'll try to stay together. But remember, focusing on how high we throw it instead of how fast we throw it. 1, 2, head towards, wait for that head to come around, and then catch it. I find it easier to actually catch and go back into a prop spin. You can catch into a stop, but you're actually going to have to wait for it a little bit longer until you're ready for it to come around, because you can't just grab it early when it's right here. You have to wait for it to do that extra quarter turn to get there. Next, we're going to talk about what I call the tip spin and the tip throw, or the other end throw if you don't want to say tip. This is a pretty iconic part of my routine to one of our songs this fall, before we got cut off short. It's pretty straightforward, but it gives you a very wide range of visuals, which is pretty great for me. You come into it from your prop spin, you go for a stop, except grab the very end of your mace. Bring it around and do a ready or an attention stop at the end of your mace. From our low stop, we're going to spin it with our right hand to the thumbs down position. And to do a flare with this, you do it just like you would with the left flare. Bring it around the back. Then we're going to go into a butterfly, just like we normally would, except we're grabbing the tip of our mace. We're going to do a butterfly, then bring it around to the right flare, thumbs down still pointed towards the mace, head of the mace is still down, we're just on the other end of the mace grabbing it. Into the flare over there, just like we did before. Butterfly, right there. Thumbs down. Butterfly. Thumbs down. This is very big. It gives you huge range visuals, like I said. But it also gives you a variation in speeds. Right now, arms are out. Like, you could be very out, and to make your job easier, give it a little extra speed when it goes down, so it kind of carries up without you having to crank on it too much. Which is also a cool visual to see, like a mace moving at more than just one constant speed with the prop spin. And to finish this one out, and you can do whatever you please, to stop it and return to normal, which could be a little difficult. And what I did, once I got to my left hand, just give it a little toss, and we're here. Helps you get back to the top, make sure that your head's in the right spot going forward, and you only have to give it a half toss when you're coming out of here. Go to the thumbs down right away. Just got to get the head around, and it's right in front of you. Obviously the accuracy is going to come into play because you're grabbing at the extreme end of your mace, so any issues in throwing it are going to be heavily exacerbated, but you'll make it work. It's a pretty simple way to go, and in my opinion still the easiest way to get a tip spin or a tip flare is just to do a little tip throw and bring it back to the middle, stop at the tip. I go into a thumbs down right away. You can do as you please. Tip throw and catch. You've probably already seen me do a good plenty of this just in between the various techniques I've shown you. But the last thing I'll show you for the purposes of this tutorial is the finger roll. You can see these a lot in baton twirlers, but it's a whole different animal for us because we have inconsistent apparatus with the rope on it, and it's a lot wider in diameter, so it comes into play a little harder, especially if you have smaller hands. What also comes into play really importantly here is how big your hands are, make your life a whole lot easier or harder, and making sure that you don't lose your head in the wrong direction. For example, if you go too long, you'll find yourselves with your thumbs pointed toward the tip and you'd be in trouble. So you have two options. This is actually one way I would come out of a rest. If that was a stopping point in your parade or stopping point in your performance, I would come out of a rest right into a finger roll. You can just give it a little momentum, give it a 4-finger spin. But if you're just throwing it in as a break up to your prop spin, speaking of prop spin, you can only go a 3-finger roll, because a 4-finger roll is going to end up changing where your head of your mace ends up. Because then you'll be thumbs down with your thumbs pointed towards the tip, and you'll be in trouble. So if we're just going in between a prop spin, and you can roll this out slow. If you're doing a very slow prop spin, send it way out wide. If you want to, you can send your other hand out there too to catch it in the middle. But when we go from here, instead of doing the butterfly, we're going to go right into our first finger. Then we're going to put our first finger on top and our middle finger on the bottom so as it comes around. And then we're going to put our ring finger in. And then when we're there, we're at the thumbs down. So instead of going to the butterfly, we're going to put it right into our pointer finger instead of our whole hand. So from the butterfly, pointer, middle, ring down with your pinky, so you don't get an accidental 4 and then be upside down. And then you're into the right into our thumbs down. So instead of going into the butterfly, we go pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, and pinky right into the thumbs down. So you can get this going pretty quick. Eventually it will go, it'll kind of fly through your fingers without you having to do much if you give it enough momentum. Just got to keep your fingers in there to keep it from falling on the ground. Like I said, make her big if you would like, make it big and slow. I like to sneak a little one in here just to be like, oh wait, he's throwing that thing around with one hand. What you can do going forward, and I'm still not good at this even after 3 years of messing around with this thing, is a consistent one hand. It's really easy with a baton because it's small and light compared to this. I can only go very slow, and my pinky sometimes lags behind. The most important part when you're doing this is if your hands are big enough to get them around the stick of your mace, is to push the head around in the spin. Depending on where you are in terms of your balance point, it's going to make a difference, but you're going to need help from your forearm. Like, there's no way you can spin this thing around with just your fingers. And then remember, if you're doing a 4, that you have to do it twice in order to come back with your thumbs pointed towards the head, so you come right. So if you do like 1, 2, and 3, and then come into it, and then get a stop, you're going to be upside down. So make sure when you're doing, if you're doing a one-handed 4, that you do it 2 times and then come in. So your stops will be upright and you won't lose your thumbs towards the head. So if we just do like 1 with all 4, and then we get a stop, we're in trouble. So make sure, if you can do 1, great, but it doesn't really do good until you can get 2 in, so you can keep your thumbs pointed. And then keeping the momentum obviously is in play, but 4 is pretty hard to come in off a full speed prop spin. Like if you're coming around kind of slow or just messing around, yeah, you can keep it going if you got your pushing the head around down. But if you don't, you're going to find yourself like whipping around and getting your whole shoulder into it. And then if you're not looking clear, confident, and precise, then it's probably not a great idea. So guys, that's all I've got for you. Keep exploring. I hope these videos have helped you get a start and at least brought a lot of information into one series in one place. To the drum majors at my alma mater, keep the tradition going. We've had a lot of great drum majors over the years, very musical people continuing to pursue music in college. Have fun with your job. Look proud. This is our biggest audience that we get to perform in front of. And for people that are watching this that aren't at my school, I hope you have fun with this. Don't copy us. Don't be a worse copy of somebody else. Be the best you can be. So, it's been Tyson. I hope you enjoyed my drum major tutorial video series, and have fun directing.